Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for coming in, everyone. We have two Wisconsin teens. One was 17, one was 15. One lives in Waukesha, which we know very well from our past cases that we've covered, and one lives in Franksville. Let me show you how close these are to each other. There you have Waukesha, and there you have Franksville. If you were to take a car, they're within an hour of each other by car. There's no relation whatsoever to these two teens, but they have one thing in common. They both have unalived their guardian or guardian. We're going to start with the Waukesha teen. He is 17 years old. His name is Nikita Kasap. It might be Kasap. He unalived his mother, Tatiana Kasap, and her husband, his stepfather, Donald Mayer. They believe it happened around February 11th. The other one, it happened in March, the other case. Not to get excited over crime, but I mean, one of our favorite prosecutors is on this one. So I was excited to see that Leslie Basie was in court during this teen's first Waukesha appearance. So let's get to that one first.
They're too interested in this defendant. We do know, like I said, he was communicating in Russian and Romanian. We are trying to work through that with the FBI. We also know that based upon the fact that the defendant had both victim A and victim B's driver's license as well as other identifying information for his parents, for his stepfather and his mother, that we don't know what he intended to do with that identification. But we do believe he is a risk not to appear in the future. As indicated, I will be issuing additional charges hopefully in the next week, and they will certainly be more serious, involving the death of victim A and victim B. For all those reasons, Your Honor, the state does believe he is a risk, and we'd ask the court minimally to do the $100,000 that Judge Boren felt was appropriate, but based upon the information we now have, including the lengths that the defendant was willing to go to conceal the car and possibly conceal his appearance by bringing cash and getting Bitcoin, the state does believe the $250,000 cash bail is appropriate.
For the defendant.
Thank you. We're asking for a lower cash bail. I think at most $100,000 is sufficient. Obviously, it's held Mr. Kasap in custody. He has not been able to post that amount, but given the nature of the charges that are before the court at this time, I believe that a lower cash bail would be more appropriate. He is young. He's still in high school. He has been in Wisconsin since, I believe, 2017, which is a little bit longer than around about 10 years that Attorney Basie had mentioned. It's my understanding that Mr. Kasap has been compliant with law enforcement since our involvement in this matter, noting that, again, we're here on operating without owner's consent and theft with special facts. I don't believe an increase in cash bail is appropriate at this time. Most of what Attorney Basie has indicated would be more relevant to any subsequent charges if they are filed, but at this juncture, I think what the court has before it, a lower cash bail would be more appropriate, but again, at most, the $100,000 has been sufficient in holding Mr. Kasap in custody.
Thank you. The matter come before the court today for the setting of bail. We conducted the initial appearance. We did have a challenge. I denied the motion to dismiss. Court's reviewed the criminal complaint, heard the arguments of counsel. Court would note that one of the issues the court does take notice of here is it appears that this individual was trying to flee the jurisdiction of not only this state, but also this country. I can't help but notice that according to the criminal complaint, this individual continued to move further and further away from Wisconsin. Also, I note that it seems like steps were taken by this individual to try to conceal what was going on at his home, the Bitcoin, etc., the cash. A lot of these issues make the court believe that this individual has no intention whatsoever to be here where he is today. In fact, I think it's a reasonable inference given the fact he was going through Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado. He was doing what he can to not ever come back to this court, not ever face any charges whatsoever. So I acknowledge the fact he's a rather young man. He's in high school. I understand he's been cooperative with law enforcement. However, the court is very concerned about whether or not this individual, having substantial contact overseas, having left this state, tried to get different plates on the car, all these things make me believe he is a tremendous flight risk, which he could not He would not return to this jurisdiction if given the choice in front of him. So for all those reasons, the court will follow the state's recommendation, set cash bail in the amount of $250,000. Conditions include appear in person for all future court dates, no violations, rising level of probable cause. I'll set level 1 WCS monitoring with GPS to remain in the state of Wisconsin. He shall not leave the state of Wisconsin. He will be released during business hours to be fitted with the GPS, and he will not be allowed to leave the state. He will surrender any and all passports he may have and will not apply for any other passports during the pendency of this case. And again, he will not leave the state of Wisconsin. Absolutely no weapons whatsoever. Furthermore, if he has not previously had a DNA sample taken, the court orders a DNA sample to be taken from this individual. The car theft case of the DNA case, and as such, he shall be collected from him. He may ask for it to be returned to him under 165.77 sub 4. Furthermore, cooperate with any and all ID processing needed. And as a housekeeping matter, obviously the warrant is quashed that was issued because he's here in front of me and I just set bail on him. So, that all being said, for the defense, are you asking for prelims and time limits or waive statutory deadlines on this case for a prelim?
I would ask for within timelines.
Time limits being set, not being waived, we'll set it within the 10 days. State, you made some statements on the record today that additional charges are forthcoming. I know it's kind of hard to estimate, but obviously it would make more sense to get the charges in or are you amending the criminal complaint or adding a whole new case number?
Actually, what we would ask is that we set this out for closer to the 10th day, and I believe that one option I have is to establish probable cause for additional felony charges during that preliminary hearing and filing the information with those charges.
All right, I'll leave it to your discretion, counsel. But that being said, Madam Clerk, a date certain then for preliminary hearing.
March 26th at 8:15 or 10:15?
That would not be within the 10-day time limits. Okay, anything in both the time limits?
Yes, they did. It has to be within 10 business days.
Does the court have anything on the 21st?
I have 10 days to March 26th.
Today's the 12th, so the 10 days would be the 22nd.
Yeah, but you don't count weekends. That's
Yes.
under 11 days. Unless someone wants to correct me on that. What, do you want to do the 21st? What are we doing here?
I'm available the 21st. I don't know if defense is available.
Do you not have prelims on the 21st? Otherwise, then I have March 19th, 8:15 or 9:15?
You can do 8:15.
Both of us are in trials.
I will take Madam Clerk's calculation of it's the 26th, and if it's not, then I would waive time limits to go to the 26th. That's fine.
With that understanding, we have availability on that date, Madam Clerk? Wednesday, that's Wednesday, right?
That would be Wednesday, March 26th at 8:15 or 10:15?
I actually have a trial on that day. We do the 24th.
I can do the 24th at 10:15.
That would work for me.
That's fine.
All right, that'll be the next court date. State anything further on this one?
Hang on.
Good for the defense?
No, thank you, sir.
All right, that concludes the hearing. I wish everyone well with it.
Usually they call them suicide spots. Suicide spots.
I've also seen like safety spotters.
Yeah.
Best
Yeah.
too, if you want to avoid the word
No,
suicide.
thank you for filling out the slip.
I don't totally understand. I think it's so you can.
It's so they can name themselves. Yeah. With their shirt. Yeah.
I was like, he was in that yesterday. I was like, is he a suicide risk or is he just, they're just being
I think it's
confident?
Okay, that was his first court appearance in Waukesha. Now, they did not show this whole hearing. I don't know why. I did look all over, though, and this station was the only one that really had most of it. He, again, is 17 years old. His name is Nikita Kassup, and he's accused of unaliving his mother and his stepfather. The new details were revealed during the teen's first appearance in the Wisconsin courtroom Wednesday, where he only faces charges for taking the car and the gun without consent. His attorney said that at this time I will be making an oral motion to dismiss based upon my review of the criminal complaint. But the Waukesha County District Attorney, Leslie Basie, said much harsher charges are forthcoming. Certainly, the defendant will be charged with 2 counts of first degree intentional homicide in the very near future. She also said that she felt like he had done the crime on February the 11th. The stepfather was shot in the back of the head, and the mother had 3 gunshot wounds, one close up to the neck, and then the other 2 were non fatal. Deputies discovered them unalived a week later on February the 28th. It's the same day that his step grandmother had learned that he had not been in Waukesha West High School for 2 weeks. So she's the one that got the ball rolling on the investigation. She asked for a welfare check. They confirmed that the mother, her body had gone into decomposition. She had towels over her legs and a blanket over her body. He continued to live in the residence with the 2 bodies in the house. He then fled with the $14,000 in cash. It doesn't say how long he was in there. At least a week or 2, right? Investigators traced the teen's phone through Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado in the days leading up to his February 28th arrest. The police in Kansas eventually pulled him over in his stepfather's car with his stepfather's handgun. Waukesha County commissioners said that I noted that it seems like steps were taken by this individual to try to conceal what was going on at his home. Leslie Basie also revealed in court that Kassab was working with someone to get fake license plates. They also said he is from Moldova and he has been communicating on an app in a foreign language, either Russian or Romanian. Investigators are right now working with the FBI to help translate those conversations. So they put his bail at $250,000, and that's where we are on that one for now until we go back to court. So moving on further down the map from Waukesha down to Franksville. The child is 15 years old, and he claims to have been inspired by the Mendoza brothers. Actually, he claims to be inspired by the documentary on them, but he was already showing signs of depression, different things going on. It wasn't just that, but of course the media has hyped it up to be that. He has been charged with red rum of his mother, an act he allegedly claimed to carry out soon after watching the documentary about the brothers. Reed Galinsky is 15 years old. He was charged with first-degree intentional homicide on March the 6th of 2025. He faces life imprisonment for the unaliving of his mother, Suzanne Galinsky. According to the criminal complaint, Galinsky was found near the foyer of her home and could not be revived despite life-saving efforts. She was transported to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy. The complaint continued to describe what allegedly occurred on March 4th, according to the interviews with officers as well as Reed after his arrest. It states the officers of the Caledonia Police Department were dispatched around 10:30 p.m. to a home in Franksville, Wisconsin, after authorities learned of a Snapchat message that Reed allegedly sent a friend. The complaint states that the friend contacted authorities after receiving multiple Snapchat messages from Reed, including an image of a female lying face up on her back, another image of blood on a floor, and messages asking for help and stating, "I stabbed my mother." When officers arrived at the location, the complaint continues, they encountered Reed as he was exiting the home. After being identified, the teen dropped a kitchen knife, later found to have blood on the blade and handle. He told the officers, "She is dead, and she is dead from what I did." Reed was then taken into custody, and blood was said to have been discovered on his clothing. During an interview at the Caledonia Police Department, Reed allegedly claimed that on the day of his mother's unaliving, he came home from school in a state of depression and having an urge to kill his parents. According to the documents, the complaint says that in the month leading up to the unaliving, Reed took his brother's anxiety medication, and on the day of the unaliving, he told authorities that he consumed an estimated 9 pills, which did not help with anxiety, but instead made him feel high. So let's watch his appearance in court. And no, I don't think he's smirking. I don't think he's laughing or smiling. I know people are going to say that, but I just don't think he is. I think he's probably nervous, and I think he's an awkward little boy.
Okay. Next is State versus Reed Galinsky appearances.
Brooke Erickson appears for the state. Members of the victim's family are also present in court in the gallery.
Reed Galinsky appears in person with attorneys Francesca Ballestori and Alex.
We're here for the preliminary hearing. The attorney's ready.
We're prepared to waive the preliminary hearing this morning. I believe co-counsel filed the waiver form.
I do have it. Okay, Mr. Galinsky, did you talk to your lawyers about waiving the preliminary hearing?
Yes, I did.
At a preliminary hearing, the state calls witnesses to testify to prove probable cause that a felony has been committed and that you probably committed it. By waiving the hearing, you're agreeing the state can prove probable cause and I can order you to stand trial on the charges. Did you understand what the waiver meant?
Yeah, I did.
Did anyone make any threats or promises to force you to waive the hearing?
No, I did.
Do you freely, knowingly, and voluntarily waive the hearing?
Yes.
All right, based on the foregoing and the facts in the complaint, I find there is probable cause that this defendant committed the alleged felony in the criminal complaint. I'm going to bind him over to stand trial on the charge. And then with regard to the arraignment, do the parties want to go forward today?
No, Your Honor. We did file a request for reverse waiver. I believe we already have a date picked out for the assigned branch.
Okay, we'll give you a reverse waiver hearing.
Thank you.
Reverse waiver hearing, June 16th at 1:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
His attorneys look young to me. The complaint filed against him says that Reed's initial plan was to unalive his father, but he abandoned it after failing to find a large enough hammer. Instead, after having dinner, while his mother sat on the couch using her computer, he streamed a Netflix documentary, The Menendez Brothers. The complaint notes Reed stated the plan to unalive his parents came to him during the documentary's shotgun scene. The 2024 documentary examines the infamous case of the Menendez brothers, who were convicted of unaliving their parents in 1989 after fatally shooting them with a 12-gauge shotgun. This was not a documentary, was it? This is a 2020. It says documentary, but I guess it was. I was thinking it was the one that's the latest one that came out where they had actors playing them. But it does sound like it's the actual documentary. The complaint said that Reed told authorities that at 9:50 p.m. he hid his sleep medication and concealed a steak knife when his mother went upstairs. While he was pretending he couldn't find his medication, he lured his mother downstairs into helping. don't know. I kind of wonder if he had a lot of ongoing issues that his mother was trying to help him get figured out there. If he was on some sleep medication and stuff, you know. All that does is tell me that he's already been to the doctor. He's been seeing somebody about something. But I guess it'll come out in court or in a hearing somewhere. His mother was in front of him, descending the steps, when he allegedly struck her twice with a dumbbell that he had hid in his sweater. The complaint continues, saying that when she did not fall as anticipated, he threw her to the ground where they struggled. He allegedly stabbed her 3 times in the chest and twice in the neck. Reed told authorities, according to the complaint, that at some point before her death, she asked him why. And he replied to her, pain. Pain. P-A-I-N. Preliminary autopsy results confirmed that she died from sharp force injuries to the chest. Her death was ruled a homicide by the medical examiner. So that's where we are on those two little, do we call them monsters yet? I don't know. We haven't heard the whole story. We don't know the background. Reed Galinsky, he seems like he's got something major going on. Like there's something that wasn't right. It just seems like he was already a troubled kid. The other one, though, the first one from Waukesha, Nikita, he was like doing really good in school. They talked about how great he was. Everybody liked him. It was a shock and surprise that nobody knew anything was going on with him. Now, that's what they say right now. But, you know, as with all these, we find out more and more as these hearings and the case goes forward. So I am staying on top of both of these because I would really like to follow both. It looks like Reed's not going back to court until June. And I think we said, what, May? Did they say May? I have to go back and look at the time. But we definitely will follow up the next time they're both back in court. So until the next time. I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like and subscribe on your way out, and feel free to leave a comment. Have a blessed day.